Hi there, I'm Ben Jones. You're watching Dukascopy TV. It's the final day of the trading week, and on the line I have Camille Amin from Caxton FX for your final instalment of forecasts. So Camille, we're discussing the sterling Aussie dollar pair. What do you see happening in 1 month's time?
So yeah, our 1 month view is that I think the main thing to kind of look out for is next week's GDP figures. So you've actually had some weak data out of the UK over the last week or so, and that's seen sterling outflows. And it'll be interesting to see whether that's reflected in next week's GDP figures, and that will almost certainly feel some lack of confidence in sterling, and we should see it drop off further. In terms of the Reserve Bank of Australia, we've got their meeting minutes coming out next week, and this will give us a better idea of how policymakers kind of view the current levels of the Aussie dollar, which remain historically high, and whether we see a transition from the resources sector to the non-resources sector, and how smooth this has been.
3 months on, and you see this pair trading at 186. Why is this?
So I think the next 3 months is probably going to be the most interesting in terms of any directional movement we expect to see. I think the main contributions to that are the fact that there is a lot of uncertainty still surrounding the US and EU economies. So we expect again the demand for high yield to remain there, and we will also get a better indication of how both of those economies and central banks are likely to act. So whether the ECB will be forced into cutting interest rates further or implementing further measures to curb their deflationary pressure, and whether we see the Federal Reserve set a time frame on when we could see them tighten their policy. From the UK side of it, we yet to get an accurate time frame of when the Bank of England will increase interest rates, but we expect it to be before any of the other major central banks, possibly by the end of the year. So we could see that start pricing in if and when Carney does come out and say that we will see policy tightened sooner rather than later.
And finally, what makes you think this pair will be trading at 181 in 12 months' time?
So I think a lot of that will be riding on whether the Reserve Bank of Australia do ease policy or decide to hold off. So that will be the determining factor. But we expect, within the 12-month range, we expect the Bank of England to obviously have increased their interest rates. By how much is yet to be seen, but we expect it to be incremental. And it will be interesting to see, the effect that this actually has on the economy, with economic recovery, going from strength to strength at the moment. It will be interesting to see what change that actually has.
Camille, thank you very much for joining us again. That's all from me for now. Join us next week for even more updates and exclusive interviews. Goodbye.